That's our 5 o'clock report.
We will see you at 6.
Good evening from the edge of Humboldt Bay. Up here on the northern California coast, people have been fishing and logging since about 1850. We've come up here to get a sense of how people feel about the environmental issues in this presidential campaign and to hear their assessment of the presidential candidates on the subject. It's a pretty remote part of the country. Most people we've talked to like it that way. But one of the things that means is that presidential candidates never come here. They campaign, as we'll see tonight, exclusively on television. We are also going to meet a local doctor who has some thoughts on the tough choices that people in Eureka have to make between trees and jobs. And we're going to start, as usual, with the Candidates' Day. ABC's Britt Hume is with George Bush, who is in the Midwest.
Making a strong appeal for the traditionally Democratic Catholic vote, George Bush, the baseball player from Yale, chose Notre Dame, the most fabled football campus in America, for the speech aides said would set the tone for the campaign's final days. Not only did he spend some time with the varsity, he also tried in his speech to connect with the Fighting Irish, who are having their best season in years.
Thanks to Republican leadership in Washington, and thanks to Lou Holtz's leadership here, both Notre Dame and America can say we're number one again.
Mostly, though, the speech was an effort to make him and his opponent seem as different as possible.
On taxes and crime and America's place in the world, you could probably call the distance between us the Great Divide. But what it all comes down to is this. One of us represents the American mainstream, and one of us does not.
Bush said Dukakis is so devoted to abstract ideas and social theories he lacks common sense. Bush proudly cited a list of administration achievements and said he would seek to build on them. He said he would seek an early summit with Soviet leader Gorbachev with no deal cut in advance.
And my purpose in such a meeting would not be to achieve any grand breakthrough, but to engage in a serious and direct examination of where we are and how we can best go forward.
Starting tomorrow, meanwhile, the Bush campaign will put this TV spot back on the air nationwide.
This is no time for uncertainty, no time to train somebody in how to meet with the Russians. This is the time for strength and experience.
The intent of all of this seems simple. With Dukakis trying in the closing days to seem like a populist, the Bush campaign is trying to make their man seem like a president. Britt Hume, ABC News, South Bend, Indiana.
Michael Dukakis was also campaigning in the Midwest today. ABC's Sam Donaldson was with him.
I smell victory in the air, don't you?
Michael Dukakis battled on in key battleground states today, cheered by sizable crowds like this one in Milwaukee, and professing not to be discouraged by national polls, which suggest with a week to go, he's making little progress in closing the gap with George Bush.
He's reading the polls. We're taking our case directly to the American people.
The case Dukakis tried to make today was on clean government. He referred to the story that Frederick Bush, no relation to George Bush, but one of his top fundraisers, last month wrote the new government of Haiti, suggesting he is in a unique position to help regain U.S. government aid. Frederick Bush says someone else signed his name.
We don't need a White House that's a meal ticket for former presidential campaign aides.
Dukakis today also revisited an answer of his from the second debate, the unemotional one he gave when confronted with the hypothetical rape and murder of his wife. Today he told Bernard Shaw, the original questioner, he's rethought that.
Obviously, if what happened to her is the kind of thing that you described, I would have the same feelings as any loving husband and father.
Would you kill him?
I think I would have that kind of emotion. On the other hand, this is not a country where we glorify vengeance.
Later tonight, Dukakis flies to Minneapolis to visit his wife, who's hospitalized there with a mild virus, before resuming campaigning. With a week to go, Dukakis' strategy is simple. Revisit as many of the battleground states as possible, hit the populist middle-class themes as hard as he can. The strategy is simple. The task of turning things around is not. Sam Donaldson, ABC News, Detroit.
In a moment, the campaign and the environment. Both Mr. Bush and Mr. Dukakis have been promising a greener and a cleaner America. Whichever man wins the election 1 week from today, he's going to be stuck with some ambitious promises made about the environment while he was trying to get the job. In a moment, our broadcast from Eureka continues.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings in Eureka, California. Brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer.
It's been the world's best-selling car 6 years running. Maybe it's because of features, reputation, or overall value. Whatever it is, it's no big surprise if you've driven a Ford Escort lately.
Winning the world over. Have you been behind the wheel? In a Ford. Winning the world over.
Now get a $400 cash bonus on Ford Escort.
Ready?
In a minute, honey.
It's nice to be noticed for what you wear and how you look. And if you wear dentures, it's nice to know Efferdent freshens up dentures and cleans away stains so well. With Efferdent, all they'll notice is you.
Hemorrhoids. They hurt, burn, and swell. Over the years, more doctors have recommended Anusol than Preparation H to relieve the hurting. Anusol is the word to remember for relief.
There is nothing subtle about the environmental challenge facing the next president. From California to the New York Island, as the song goes, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, Americans in every walk of life know there is something wrong with their surroundings. And in this presidential campaign, more than in others, there's a clear understanding that a candidate's position on the subject will have an effect on the voters. There's an enormous backlog of problems. To begin with, let's go back to 1973 and listen to a native son of California.
There is pollution of air, there is pollution of the water. If we don't act now on all of these problems, we are not going to have an environment that's fit to live in the United States within 10 to 15 years.
And 15 years after Richard Nixon's warning, the environment is on the presidential candidate's agenda once again. During the summer that the Earth struck back, Michael Dukakis and George Bush both decided that the global life support system really was a campaign issue.
I am an ardent conservationist.
I'm an environmentalist. Always have been from...
During the campaign, both men have taken aggressive positions on those issues which have once again caught the public imagination. They've called for an end to dumping garbage in the ocean. They've both said that something must be done to end acid rain. They've both said they'll get tough with those who pollute the earth with toxic waste. Up here in Northern California, where magnificent Pacific beaches quickly give way to the great redwood forests, the environmental issue is not cut and dry. Richard Young, like his father before him, makes his living from the sea.
It's harder and harder to make a living. There are fewer fish. We catch fewer fish now in places where we used to go. Some places we catch more trash, more junk.
In California this campaign, the litmus test for politicians has been whether they would drill for oil in the waters where Richard Young goes fishing. He is not much impressed by all the talk.
I see everybody treating the environment like they treat the flag. They want to wrap themselves in the environment, but nobody wants to make a firm commitment and lay out a program of what's going to happen.
Up here, as it is in other parts of the country, it is the old argument about the virginity of nature and industrial progress. It's about jobs. Out on one of Chevron's oil drilling platforms, the young roughnecks don't know too much about the oil spill that soaked the beaches 20 years ago. They do believe in progress.
We got to go on. We got to have the oil. As long as we're doing the best we can to prevent anything, any accidents, then there's no problem.
These young men believe that what they are doing is important to the nation.
If we become dependent on foreign oil, may as well take down the flag.
There was lots of excitement up at the high school in Eureka the other night. The Eureka Loggers won again. Somewhere beyond the excitement, though, is a real dilemma for these kids. Unless they get a job in the lumber mills or go to sea and fish, most of the kids here will have to leave Eureka to work elsewhere. For those who stay, like their parents, it will not be that easy to be absolute on the environment.
My dad's a commercial fisherman, and if he was out of a job because we had offshore drilling, I don't think I'd appreciate it.
It'd be tough on the fishermen here and the environment, but I think that developing our resources would be more important, because I don't think we should rely on the Middle Eastern oil as much.
In this community which hugs America's western shore, the argument sounds the same as it does on other environmental issues elsewhere in the country. And the question is universal. Where's the right balance? It is fairly obvious that one of the reasons people move up here from busier parts of the country is simply to get away from it all. But it is rather hard to get away from the media, especially in California, particularly during an election year. Television and politics have long been essential to one another in California. As ABC's Jeff Greenfield reports tonight, California has started more than one trend.
Politics California style as it used to be. Partisans taking to the streets. Politicians pressing the flesh.
One senator made good his promise.
Politics California style today.
We have promises to keep to senior citizens.
See the candidates on the tube or you won't see them at all.
The three most important things in a statewide election. Number one, television. Number two, television. Number three, television.
California's size and density, 28 million people, 12 to 14 million voters, make personal politics hopelessly old-fashioned in the eyes of the pros.
If you saw 5,000 people every day, which is difficult to see in California every day consistently, at the end of the campaign, you'd have seen, what, 10% of the voters?
So Senator Pete Wilson, fighting for re-election, spends most of his time raising money to put into TV commercials.
Pete Wilson, always there for California.
McCarthy for U.S. Senator.
And Wilson's opponent, Lieutenant Governor Leo McCarthy, pours almost all of his resources into the raising of funds to pay for his ads. As much as 90 cents of every campaign dollar can go to fundraising and TV advertising.
I liken running for statewide office in California to a black box into which you feed dollar bills and out of which you take TV commercials.
McCarthy gets the criminal. It's the ultimate irony of the TV age. To reach voters by way of the tube, candidates rarely meet voters in their own towns and neighborhoods anymore.
It's sad that they don't go out and reach the public personally like they used to. One commercial isn't going to give me enough information to know whether to vote or not to vote for that individual.
Sad or not, the battle of the airwaves is what politics in California has become.
Take it, go.
To us, police.
The day is going to arrive very soon where candidates never touch the public, because they're all being done, it's being done in television studios.
And since an old saying has it that whatever happens in America happens in California first, you may be looking at the future of American politics. Jeff Greenfield, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Well, the Republican Party is counting on more than television to win here in the West. It is counting on tradition. The West has been a Republican bastion for the last 5 presidential elections. There are 13 states in the region. As we've said before, the biggest prize is California, which has 47 electoral votes. According to the polls, George Bush is ahead in California and 3 other states, and running strong in 6 others, worth another 43 electoral votes. Michael Dukakis is ahead in Hawaii and Oregon, and may have a slight lead in the state of Washington. Barry Serafin will have the rest of the day's news in just a moment. Later in the broadcast, we'll hear one man's view here in Eureka on the delicate balance between the environment and jobs. And we'll continue to listen to what else is on people's minds in the campaign of '88.
Well, I'm very happy that the man finally copped to being liberal, because I'm one and I'm damn proud of it.
I've always been a Democrat, but I think the Democrat Party's gone a little too left for me, and I think the Republican Party's a little too far to the right.
Well, to tell you the truth, I don't think neither one is worth a hill of beans.
Feel your oats. Post. Oats. Feel your oats.
Post. Oats.
With new Post Oat Flakes. 0 cholesterol. Whole grain oats with oat bran nutrition. And delicious with the taste of golden toasted whole grain oats. No one packs nutrition and taste into an oat flake like Post. Feel your oats.
Post.
Oats, Oats. With new Post Oat Flakes.
How can she be old enough to leave for college?
How can you be old enough to be your mom?
I take care of myself.
And she takes Geritol Complete, nearly twice the iron of ordinary supplements.
Here's to our future.
Geritol Complete, for the best years of your life.
They came across country by wagon and settled in Amana, Iowa. Whatever they needed, they made by hand. Made it the best it could be. That same fundamental is still practiced today in Amana, Iowa, the home of Amana Appliances, a Raytheon company. Whatever you make it the best it can be. Raytheon, where quality starts with fundamentals.
Got a nice minty taste to it.
That's good.
Can you say that about your liquid antacid? If not, taste new Tums Liquid.
It has a nice taste to it. It's delicious. Tums tastes the best.
New Tums Liquid. It works, and it really tastes good.
This was Election Day in Israel, and voter turnout was heavy. It was seen as a contest which, after months of Palestinian unrest, could determine Israeli policy toward the occupied territories. The leader of the right-wing Likud party, Prime Minister Shamir, tonight said he thought he could form a new government. But as ABC's Dean Reynolds reports, it would have a very narrow majority in Parliament with no clear mandate from the voters.
There was a sense of anticlimax tonight at the headquarters of the Likud bloc as the Israeli TV exit poll was announced. Supporters had expected a clear-cut win, but the poll showed Likud and the opposing Labor Party will take 40 seats each in the 120-seat Knesset. Still, Likud's Itzhak Shamir is in a better position to form a new government because he is closer to Israel's conservative religious parties, who apparently did surprisingly well today. The downside is that Shamir will now have to make a host of concessions on narrow sectarian demands to keep the religious bloc in a potential coalition.
Likud is in a better position to form a government. I'm disappointed because I would have liked to see the spread of my own party a lot bigger.
And there was anxiety at the Labor Party because the party and its allies on the left appeared too weak to block a Likud government. The exit poll showed voters deadlocked on the central issues of peace and security. Some were drawn by Shamir's promise to retain occupied land forever.
The Arabs think this is their home. This is my home. They have to leave, not me.
Others preferred Perez's plan to trade land for peace.
We need negotiation and to succeed in negotiation, not to succeed with the strong hand and not to succeed with war.
Though their future was involved, the 1.7 million Palestinians in the territories had no vote in this election, but marked it with a general strike. The election results are still unofficial, and both parties will be busy courting the religious bloc. But if, as expected, Mr. Shamir prevails, Israel may soon be taking a hard turn to the right. Dean Reynolds, ABC News, Tel Aviv.
Today's elections were marred by one serious incident of violence. Terrorists threw a gasoline bomb at an Israeli car in the Arab sector of East Jerusalem. The 3 people in the car were hurt. Meanwhile, Israeli jets raided Palestinian positions in Lebanon again today. Police say 5 people were killed and 35 were hurt. The raid was apparently to retaliate for another firebomb attack in Israel over the weekend, which killed a woman and her 3 children. We'll have more news in a moment, and Peter Jennings talks with voters in Eureka, California.
I think we need jobs in America for our American people and keep the working force in America working.
I'm concerned about my kids. I have 2 kids, a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old, and just leaving the debt for them. I just see us spending, and I haven't seen any of the candidates come up with issues yet.
I hear General Motors is not happy. More and more, their owners find only one luxury car gives them everything. Chrysler New Yorker, V6, anti-lock brakes, the most advanced transmission, Ultra Drive, and Crystal Key. Better owner care than any GM sedan, even Rolls or Mercedes. What did Chrysler do to make GM unhappy? Everything.
Numazola Light spread has fewer calories than any leading light. Numazola Light.
lightest of the lights.
Garrity, that's shredded wheat, not a TV dinner.
Well, that's how we do it in Nome.
Nome? I didn't know you were from Alaska.
Not Nome, Alaska, Nome, Texas.
I never saw anyone eat shredded wheat hot before. Oh, sure. My mom used to pour hot milk on it.
Try Nabisco shredded wheat in your microwave. In just a minute or two, you can have a delicious hot breakfast with no added sugar or salt.
If they microwave it in Texas, what do they do in California?
They can it.
No.
If you used to take capsules, try new extra strength Tylenol gel caps. They're gelatin coated with a concentrated solid center under a smooth gelatin coating, so they're actually easier to swallow. Tylenol gel caps. It's not a capsule. It's better.
We've studied your mouth from every angle and created a toothbrush with a very special angle, the Reach toothbrush, with a dental angle designed to clean even back teeth better, to get your teeth 51% cleaner than the other leading brush. Reach for 51% cleaner teeth.
The Reagan administration today expressed grave concern over the latest developments in Afghanistan. As the Soviets pull out, they have sent long-range bombers and missiles to Afghanistan. Those missiles could reach Pakistan. And the State Department warned the Soviets that Pakistan is an ally which, quote, enjoys our full support. Indictments will be handed up this month in a major government investigation of fraud in the Defense Department. More from ABC's Dennis Trout.
Investigators say U.S. Attorney Henry Hudson will announce 6 to 10 indictments of Pentagon and defense industry officials. And that's just the first wave.
This is probably the largest and most complex defense procurement fraud case that any United States Attorney's Office has ever undertaken.
Eventually, officials expect to be able to prosecute up to 100 corporations and individuals on fraud and related charges. Prosecution strategy calls for plea bargaining with some mid-level officials and using their information to pressure those further up the ladder. Investigators claim they are building strong cases against top targets like former Assistant Navy Secretary Melvin Paisley and defense consultant William Galvin.
But investigators admit that managers of major companies who may have been involved in corruption may have insulated themselves from criminal liability by having deputies handle the payoffs. Dennis Trout, ABC News, New York.
A congresswoman from California has called on the General Accounting Office to investigate allegations of overcharges in the building of the Bradley fighting vehicle. Representative Barbara Boxer cited the report on this broadcast 2 weeks ago, in which employees of the FMC Corporation said they were ordered to arbitrarily inflate the prices of spare parts. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrials gained a little over 2 points. The trading was moderate. Once again, Peter Jennings in Eureka, California.
Barry, when we come back, we'll hear from a local doctor here in Eureka who came here in search of paradise and found that it was somewhat more complicated. As we continue to listen to the voters on Campaign 88.
For the next president, I'd go in and tell him to work more on cleaning up the environment and be more concerned about nuclear weapons and protecting the world rather than being so concerned about money and politics. I think the first thing we have to be concerned about is our environment, mainly.
When constipation plus hemorrhoids twist you in knots, try Haley's MO, the laxative made with Phillips Milk of Magnesia plus mineral oil, so it lubricates for easier relief. Haley's MO, the laxative for hemorrhoid sufferers.
In a new survey, we asked 1,000 doctors if stranded on an island, would they want Tylenol, extra strength Tylenol, Advil, or Bayer. Doctors chose Bayer, 3-to-1 over extra strength Tylenol. Bayer, the wonder drug that works wonders.
Susan, can we talk?
Sure, Dad.
You notice anything different about Mom?
She's acting pretty wild for her age.
Well, I don't just mean the roller skates.
And the motor scooter. She even borrowed my new dress. Come on, Dad, what is it?
A balanced diet with the right vitamin nutrition helps people get more out of life. Some are finding Kellogg's Product 19. 100% of 12 vitamins and minerals. Feel good about yourself.
Not the, rubber dress.
Feel like 19 again.
Don't take chances with your brake repairs. Trust your brakes to Midas, where the work is done by trained experts. And your brake shoes and pads are guaranteed for as long as you own your car. Nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
The new Remington Electroblade vibrating blade system has been an amazing success for those who prefer shaving with a blade. Electroblade's vibrating twin blades glide so easily you'll get the closest, smoothest blade shave you've ever imagined or your money back.
1 week from election night, ABC News assembles its team to assess the 88 vote. Jennings, Brinkley, and the best political team in the business. An ABC News pre-election special tonight.
And finally this evening, a brief walk in the Redwoods. The basic premise of this trip was to listen to various people in various regions, talk about the presidential campaign, and about the future. This is such a magnificent part of the country. 13 years ago, Jack Irvine, his wife and 4 young children, left his medical practice in San Francisco and came up here for what they believed was a better quality of life. Ironically, tragically, Jack's wife was killed shortly afterwards by a drunk driver. He and his kids stayed on here. Jack, who's an internist, became very involved in the community. And because it is now his community, it isn't so easy to say, don't touch a tree whatever the cost. Because some of Jack's neighbors and patients' jobs depend on the lumber mills, and he knows their livelihood would be part of the cost. While the sun was shining, we talked about the problem 5 minutes away from his home.
Is it difficult for you to reconcile yourself with wanting to preserve this, not touching at all, and yet realizing that so many people in your community's jobs depend on it?
Yeah, I think, it's hard to, you recognize you clearly are going to have to compromise on some of the things you'd like to have, whether it's offshore oil or cutting old growth timber, whether we're going to preserve that, what's going to happen to the waterfront. I think all those things you have to try and balance the issues of people's jobs versus the future of the community.
Does it make for a big fight in the community?
Not a big fight. These people up here basically like each other. I think there's a willingness to look at both sides of an issue. I think the community, despite its sort of relative geographic isolation, is pretty sophisticated about what the issues are.
Are people in Eureka going to preserve the trees at the expense of their jobs under any circumstances?
I think they would vote for jobs. That's what the sense of this community is. We would rather have jobs than more trees and parks.
And that's our report on World News tonight. And those are some trees. We're going to head back east now, having talked to people in Pennsylvania, and then in Texas, Southern and Northern California. We're now going to follow the candidates into the Midwest and see what sort of an impression they are making there. Incidentally, I hope you'll join me and David Brinkley later this evening for a special report on the campaign of '88, just 1 week before the election. Tomorrow night, we'll broadcast from the city that is sometimes called the Buckle on the Rust Belt of America, Cleveland, Ohio. I'm Peter Jennings. Good night from Eureka, California.
And now, the news continues on WKRN, Channel 2, Nashville, with Cindy Benson and Bob Mueller.
Good evening, everyone. In our news tonight, departing State Corrections Commissioner Steve Norris is calling on the legislature to take tough measures, if necessary, to relieve prison overcrowding. Norris will leave his post December 1st to go into private industry. He says he's not leaving out of frustration, but Channel 2's John Clark reports Norris admits the job hasn't been easy.
It's going to be a full-time job. 3.5 years after taking the helm of Tennessee's troubled corrections department, Steve Norris is leaving.
It's a difficult job, and as I said, some days are better than others, but no, this is just an opportunity that came up, and I'm moving towards something, not away from something.
Norris was appointed Corrections Commissioner in the spring of 1985, the third person to hold the position in as many years.
Anytime you change the leadership in a major department, such as the Department of Correction, there's a certain amount of trauma associated with it. My job as the operating officer of that department will be to minimize that.
The prison system was already being monitored by the federal courts due to its overcrowded conditions. Still to come would be a federal cap on the number of inmates admitted and massive rioting. Norris says that was a low point, but that things have improved since.
I've thoroughly enjoyed this job. Some days have been better than other days, but this is a job that I really enjoyed. I appreciated it